about a second time that you've been stuck on.
Hey! The roller coaster's back underway, so never mind all that. If it pauses again, I'm going to scream. But it is going to be just a little bit of push and shove for the opening skirmish, and you are seeing the double Sombra.
So it's going to be Rye on Tracer as well and Kant on the Sombra. Usually in the past seasons we've seen Kant on Tracer, so this is a little bit different, but Rye already being forced to use recall.
Yeah, it's just the pressure mounting now on Machi, just kind of trying to wheel around a bit, weather the storm, need to get an angle to attack back in on this one, but losing D-Crown really throws a spanner in those works. And unfortunately, the rest of the squad now just in full retreat as Judo popped out of the mech. Rye just having to leg it out of there. Restia caught up against the wall, is going to lose his life. They do trade one back, which is something, but may not be enough.
Could you see how struggling, how much he struggled to find an opening there to try and get in? Rye wanted to poke his way in there, forced to recall early, as was already mentioned. You also had D-Crown trying to get out of trouble. The him cleaned him up just with the Hellfire shotguns at long range even. And for DeToNator.KOREA, as soon as they smelled the blood, they pounced on the rest of Machi and cleaned them up, no problem.
Now, DeToNator.KOREA in full control. Machi, though, they had the ultimates there. They are being committed. The EMP and the follow-up is all there. And despite that first fight loss, they were actually just closer to the ultimates. That is decisiveness.
At least closer to one ultimate, the one crucial ultimate here being EMP, because it doesn't matter if DeToNator.KOREA had any other ultimates here. A good EMP from Kant shuts down everybody, and it was extremely crucial when you consider that Blitz was about 20, maybe 30% off still. Just goes to show how much that early damage coming with the Sombra really counts for those early fights.
And that's why I say decisiveness, because if they had waited too long, Blitz could have had that EMP, and suddenly they may not have been quite so effective with their own. And now just trying to stop DeToNator.KOREA before they can get started. But unfortunately, Judo not going to survive that one, and now that leaves D-Crown a little bit off to the side. Graviton thrown into the mix. It only gets Rye. It needs to get Rye, yeah. Nice one from Blitz, and suddenly it's DeToNator.KOREA biting back with decisiveness.
It was such a well-timed EMP as well. We talk about well-timed coming up from Kant, but DeToNator.KOREA as well, they were patient with their ultimates. They knew what they had to do.
This is
early Kant onto Judo as well, just sort of signaling the apocalypse coming in. DeToNator.KOREA, much like that very first fight.
The hackopocalypse.
Pretty much. I mean, the EMP came down just a little bit after, completely shut down Restia's sound barrier, and now still a ton of ultimates for DeToNator.KOREA to play with.
This is a tricky spot now for Machi. They've got some ultimates. Unfortunately, that late commit of the Coalescence from Kiyomi could really hurt them here. Kant getting pressured out. Earthshatter blocked. Not quite connected, unfortunately, but that's going to be the throw-in now. The self-destruct by Judo doesn't quite get the picks for it, and the Death Blossom stops any follow-up on the space that Machi had created, and off the back of that, they start just drilling down the tanks here, nicely held by DeToNator.KOREA. That being said, Machi do hold on to a lot of good resources.
DeToNator.KOREA had to spend a lot of good resources there as well. They lost 3 ultimates, and Blitz is going to have to come back with a pretty strong EMP to recharge the rest of the ultimates that DeToNator.KOREA did lose in the previous fight. A little bit of a late kill onto Judo as well is going to slow things down for Machi. Just enough for them to maybe get a little bit desperate as we head to 94%.
And that does mean DeToNator.KOREA with a well-placed EMP could just kind of stop Machi as they're barreling towards the point. Gonna have to go now. Oh no.
That's a bit weird.
Kant was
I thought he was on it. I swear
he was just shy of it. That's so rough. Because you saw D-Crown waiting in the wings as well. They were going to force the overtime, use those extra seconds to just get Judo in and ready, and then pounce. All the setup was there. That's just such a slight mistake. But you do actually have to consider that that still links back to Judo's very, very late death. We talk about staggering. That is where it is at its most costly.
Yeah, when you head towards the 90% sort of mark, or, you know, on other maps, just a few seconds remaining before you get to the overtime, that's not when you want to be taking a death and waiting for another member to come back in. And I would have liked to believe that would have been a pretty good fight for Machi as well. Kant had an EMP around the same time. In fact, he had it at the same time as Blitz just had it at the end there as well. So either plan coming in, striking the first blow would have been very effective, and Kant was invisible, so he might have been the one to really blow the gates open, if you will, for Machi to get back onto the point, but it just wasn't the case. It's a lot of maybes and ifs and what ifs here, but for Machi, it's all about map 2 in Nepal now.
That is indeed where we are going to be going in just a few moments. Looks like there may actually be just another pause out.
Clutch
you see
block.
that Earthshatter? Yeah, that was such a great block there. The bubble coming down, just perfect positioning on it, by the way. And I mean, you can almost consider there being a sort of factor of a game of inches. I mean, even in the most literal sense, in that there was probably a few inches worth of like foot between can't, and the point right at the very end there. And that's the thing, it's just not quite being on in time. And it's a fine line to balance there when you're trying to just, you know, get a toenail on it for the sake of getting the overtime when you're at that 99% mark, but also not wanting to be in too early and dying, and then even though you got overtime, you're in a 5 versus 6. So, look, it's a hard line to balance, and unfortunately, Machi, you know, came off one side of it, but we do see the other side equally as often where that person goes in too early and dies really quickly. It just, you know, it's less dramatic.
The timing just felt a little bit off for Machi, and maybe not even necessarily to the fault of their own, but it's kind of, you know, just the unfortunate timing of, to start things off with that second attack when DeToNator.KOREA, their second attempt rather, when they lost a point, they came back, they found Judo very early with the hack, and because we're still on the previous patch, not the Brigida live patch, but the patch where a hack is a little bit harder to stop once it starts. He did get hacked, he didn't have a way to get out. That was a mech down, and then straight into the 6v5, or the 6 versus 5.5, if you will. The rest of the ultimates coming through. They won that fight quite cleanly, quite leanly as well, didn't have to commit too much. DeToNator.KOREA just were able to find such great opportunities. Machi just didn't quite have some things in order at the right time. Again, players dying at the wrong time, just towards the overtime in, you know, into the game, and a lot of ultimates not quite lining up for them. And, you know, for Machi, it's a lot of things going wrong, but also for DeToNator.KOREA, it's about finding those opportunities, which they did so well. And
you've got to also give them credit on the other side of that, right? Like, Machi didn't lose because of their mistakes. They lost because they had been taken all the way up to 99% and then unfortunately made one very, very minuscule mistake. I mean, you saw how close Carroll was to the point.
It's the smallest and the biggest.
And, well, that's the thing. Hey, yeah, exactly, right? But that's the thing is, they were in that position in the first place because DeToNator.KOREA had actually played a really good game of their own. We saw some really great offenses out of Machi as well. We just didn't see that consistently enough. DeToNator.KOREA, on the other hand, just looking just those little bit tidier here and there. You know, pushing a point to 99% isn't something that happens by accident. And you've now got to consider, even if Machi had have got another fight after that, DeToNator.KOREA, you've got to say they probably could have come back from it still, even if it had gone the full 99 to 99. Look, call it competitive, whatever you want to say about it. DeToNator.KOREA got that win, they deserved that win, and now it is Machi on the back foot.
It just felt like DeToNator.KOREA were in control, right? That's the key word.
I mean, they both were, strictly speaking, the game mode.
Well, I mean, okay, so DeToNator.KOREA here in control in the sense that, like, the pacing of the game and the timings of how things happened, that was very much, you know, without wanting to repeat the word, like, they controlled that. And for Machi Esports, they're always on the receiving end. They're always kind of on the back foot there. We talk about tempo a lot here, at least I talk about tempo a lot here, in terms of looking at how teams define timings of fights, where they happen as well, and what gets used. A lot of the time that we saw so far on just that, you know, just that shrine map of Nepal was DeToNator.KOREA saying, this is what's going to happen, and Machi always having to be the ones responding instead of being the ones being proactive.
Except for that one fight. And that's the thing. You want to see more of that out of Machi for exactly that reason. When it was actually them dictating the pace, when it was them dictating what happens, actually DeToNator.KOREA really crumbled quickly. Now look, EMP is an ultimate that can kind of have that effect, right? If it does land really, really well and the follow-up is all there, there's often not really much you can do, you know, even if you are among the best of teams in the world. But it does suggest that maybe if they're a little bit back-footed more often, there could be an exploitable weakness here for DeToNator.KOREA. Let's see now, as we finally round our way onto Village, if Machi can find that same weakness and continue to exploit it.
So this is going to be Machi doing a very similar thing we saw Bazaar doing on their sort of Village attack here. They're going to go straight to the point. DeToNator.KOREA are going to come down the usual top side with the Farah. And Blitz is actually going to go change here. This is going to be a big compositional change. And that's this is something that is very interesting because they lose a lot of time for this. They might still just hit the point as it hits 0, but they have strictly decided they don't want to take this fight. Until changing the composition.
Good discipline, though, to actually go and change that composition, recognizing, look, okay, we could go in and just lose this fight, or we can lose a couple of percentage points, but at least give ourselves a chance in the fight. And that's what they're gearing up to now, is they're just looking for the angle inward.
Sombra in play as well. Blitz could easily find a good hack onto either of the tanks or one of the supports or somebody to kind of break the gates open, allow DeToNator.KOREA to go in, but they're being very patient so far. And it might pay off.
Slowly charging up the ultimates, but you've got to consider Kiyomi's Coalescence on the cusp of being available along with the sound barrier. those are the defensive tools that Machi could just need to weather this pressure. That is an early Deadeye, and catches D-Crown. That's a big one. That forces Machi to commit the ultimates here. Both of those defensive ultimates just to keep Kant alive, but he's still going to end up falling down. The response skill onto Modern not anywhere near enough, unfortunately, and DeToNator getting their own ultimates up just in equal pace with Machi getting their few up, but it was the pick on D-Crown that just made it unrecoverable for Machi, no matter how many ultimates they threw at it.
Takes a lot of discipline to wait that long as well. 45% they gave away, a full compositional change, but you could see it paid off at the end because they had that very quick Deadeye, now nearly into the second Deadeye. By the way, Blitz with the EMP as well. That wasn't a very slow EMP. They managed to get that within a very respectable time, and now DeToNator.KOREA, if they can sort of just even things out, get their own 45%, it'll be fine.
Doesn't quite get it. Was trying to maybe catch someone on the back end of that rotation from Machi, but did not work. Now Machi able to commit to the fight with an advantage as they catch Blitz. And by the way, no more Deadeye means that's a lot of pressure lost now. Taheem getting forced away from the fight as well, having to commit the Valkyrie. This is actually now DeToNator kind of in recovery mode. Unfortunately, D-Crown getting picked leaves these members of Machi a lot more exposed. Taheem, he's got another Deadeye. Can you believe it? But the cap does go the way of Machi, and DeToNator.KOREA, late pick on Judo actually. They could just go straight back in for another one.
The issue is, though, DeToNator.KOREA are also looking for respawners themselves, and now positioning maybe in the favor just slightly of Machi, including that barrier. DeToNator need another way to get into this game, and Blitz might have found it.
It's the numbers, though, that were singing the praises of DeToNator.KOREA there. That was a nicely timed sound barrier, but it was also kind of a recovery one. They needed to use that to close out some kills on DeToNator to relieve the pressure that DeToNator were putting on them. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and now DeToNator, without even using ultimates for that last little bit of that push, were able to get back on the point. That being said, Machi capped it and are within spitting distance of capping out.
And Machi have ultimates to come back into this with as well. Blitz now sitting back onto EMP. Taheem, no surprises, back onto the Deadeye as well. DeToNator.KOREA did have to give up a little bit more percentage cap. They were happy with, they were okay rather with 45. A lot less for the EMP Blitz. Everything.
And he's got such a great angle for it, actually just biding his time. They didn't even need it as they picked D-Crown instead. Good pressure once again from the Deadeye out of Taheem. And now DeToNator.KOREA once again just kind of on the upper hand as they go ahead and commit. Apache with the Transcendence keeps the team safe. Rai could turn it all around with the Death Blossom. There it goes. The EMP not quite in time to stop it, but it doesn't matter. Taheem, he's just got these everyone's numbers here. Just headshots left, right, and center. Yes, hello, it's Peacemaker.
Yeah, you got 6 bullets, and you got 1 bullet with each player's name of the opposing side. The other thing is, Blitz didn't even have to use EMP, and he probably won't use until the very end as well. 92%, DeToNator.KOREA in control of the point. Machi looking for a way in, and Blitz looking for the perfect EMP.
Yeah, and here it is. They can just hold it as a threat over Machi's heads, and they know it. The EMP committed, and there's nothing Machi can do. It's much like when Machi had that on their attack way back now on Shrine, and with that DeToNator.KOREA just kind of steamrolling their way through that one. Like you said, that patience at the start to change up the team comp totally paying off, and from there on, again, just DeToNator playing to the beat of their own drum.
Yeah, but I will also give credit to Machi in the fact that it wasn't, you know, as much as you want to use the word steamroll here, I think Machi had pulled a decent amount of punches there. They did get the first cap that was given to them, to be fair, but the second cap around, they were able to push DeToNator.KOREA
back,
fair
and square,
get themselves back to 74%, and then afterwards, DeToNator.KOREA had to recap and force the overtime with the EMPs, with the ults, you know, Taheem landing a lot of shots as well. That was all DeToNator.KOREA, but Machi certainly didn't give that one away easily.
Yeah, I feel like that was actually more like what we would have seen on map number 1 on Shrine. Had that not happened right at the end where there was no one on the point, I feel like we would have seen a similar thing where, you know, Machi could have come in, had a good fight, maybe pushed it up to, you know, that sort of 70, 80, even 90% area. But I do still feel that would have gone the way of DeToNator.KOREA in the end. So on the whole, you've got to say close, but DeToNator.KOREA do deserve the win through and through. The question now is this momentum that carries on through, or is this just Machi being a little bit of a slow starter?
Well, the thing is, we haven't seen DeToNator.KOREA on a real back foot yet. We've sort of seen them maybe looking like, oh, Machi climbing in here, Machi contesting here, they're being competitive here, but we haven't seen DeToNator.KOREA really be in a severe losing position. Let's not even use the word severe here, just a real losing position. And I'm not going to count the early 45% because that was a part of DeToNator.KOREA's plan, and it was factored into that plan. They were willing to lose the 45%, but we haven't seen them legitimately lose that kind of progress or that deeply into the game where oh, well, this wasn't by our own design. This was just, you know, we lost.
And by the way, if we want to speak of discipline and things that come from experience, you know, we talk about the returning teams, but actually making a call like that requires a lot of discipline. So DeToNator kind of showing their caliber just in that alone. Now moving on forward, it is the map pick for Machi. They want to take it over to Hollywood, and I very much like this pick out of them.
It's going to be a really interesting one, and especially to what DeToNator.KOREA and Machi want to do here. We've now seen, at least to start things off with, we've seen Sombra come out of both sides. We've seen a lot of tanks come out of Machi for Village as well. They can bring the tanks back now for Hollywood, at least on that first defense, or the first attack if they like. We've seen a little bit of dive out of both teams, not so much out of DeToNator.KOREA yet, and that's the thing that's a little bit scary because most of what they use to, you know, kind of cruise their way through Open Division was on the dive. Daheem Tracer, Blitz on the Genji, that was their bread and butter for Open Division. Right now, they haven't even, and I'm going to use the word needed here, to go there.
Yeah, they've been able to kind of pull off different things, which shows an amount of versatility as well. Certainly promising signs all across the board for DeToNator.KOREA, but 1-0 up a series does not make. So, Machi now the opportunity to strike back, or DeToNator.KOREA the opportunity to take it to match point. Question is, which is it going to be?
And I'm really looking forward to potentially seeing the speed and pacing out of DeToNator.KOREA, because we've seen them when they're patient, we've seen them when they're waiting for the right opportunities. You know, again, Blitz not wanting to use EMP for the sake of using it. If you can win without it, that's great, and they're able to identify those advantages. And then also, you know, again, changing compositions very early, giving away 45%. We've seen them when they slow right down, but also now for DeToNator.KOREA, what do they look like when they're fast? Because we did also see that in Open, but we have yet to see that now in Contenders Pacific. And for Machi, they especially have not experienced it just yet.
And it could well be a case of DeToNator.KOREA wanting to take it easy before they start sort of putting up the pace. And if you really want to draw the parallel between this team and Ardian, you can't do so until you see them playing at that kind of blistering speed where, you know, it barely even feels like they back off to reset.
They feel like they're revving their engines right now, just to let you know they got a lot under that hood.
Yeah,
but they haven't really, you know, they haven't really pushed into the...
And now it's the green light. We're going to see who wins the drag race. Will it be Machi and the Hyundai Getz, or will it be DeToNator.KOREA and the Ferrari?
You are also right now assuming assuming things. It could just be, you know, it could be a very old Ferrari, but hey, it's still a Ferrari. It counts, right?
Yeah, and like a really well-maintained Hyundai. That's the thing. That's the thing. You never know, right? You know, one is comfort, one is pizzazz. That was a weird choice of word on my part, but at any rate, it is looking like the it's just. I was going to say it's comfort coming out the better, but no, it is actually going to be pizzazz as they just sort of start the style on Machi, who looked like they were on the cusp of biting back, but now finding themselves a little bit too split up, weren't quite able to press the go button on that kind of re-engagement.
And Ryan and Kent were able to access the back line, but the issue is none of their tanks or supports were able to get in there with the rest of the Machi squad. For DeToNator.KOREA, they were kind of able to cut that push in half, if you will, just stop the tank line, stop the support line, DPSs, you'll deal with them later, and they're not that threatening when there's no one there to kill.
And now it's just decisiveness out of DeToNator. Actually, Blitz does go down before he gets too much with the Dragon Blade. That actually plays into Machi's favor here, that leaves the point a little bit more open. DeToNator were trying to get preemptive. May not have paid off.
Especially with Blitz going down with the blade as well. Now Kent and Machi about to get their own ultimates. So looking a lot more even if Blitz doesn't get to come in the fight.
That's rough. D-Crown dying just as Coalescence was channeled. That is really, you know, fraction of a hair type timing, and Resty getting picked as well. Suddenly looking a little lacking in the support department here as Machi, as the EMP does come out, but very little to follow up from it. Has to be a big self-destruct, does get Sleepy Bear, but DeToNator.KOREA still have the members with enough health bars on the point. They've got the presence and they've got the pressure. Machi are the ones slowly starting to crumble and get beaten back.
This is going to be an extended fight as well. Note that nearly 2 minutes ago, Modern wants to continue things. He doesn't want to let Machi get out of this fight with no casualties. That was very, was almost very good because they nearly cleaned up a couple of extra members.
Yeah, Kiyomi, despite being sort of bumped back in the direction of DeToNator.KOREA, was able to escape. So very nicely done there. Now Machi gearing up for another go. Sound barrier from both sides to cue it off, and they're just kind of brushing each other for the time being. But it's the Coalescence on the Blitz again. Kiyomi getting that so early. Transcendence trying to do similar weight. Kiyomi does go down. Now it's all onto Resty to keep his members topped off. May just go down here. Needs to stay alive to get an EMP in to try to close the fight, but it's not going to happen as he drops. to the continued pressure from Modern. And you've got to consider how much work both of these Winstons are doing, but ultimately it does feel that Modern has had slightly more impact so far.
Being said, D-Crown now in the primal range, and Machi, the reinforcements have arrived. It doesn't seem like they're getting enough kills. It's always DeToNator.KOREA that are able to get the superior trades. Blitz with only 1 kill, it's still enough.
It is still enough, and that's the thing. It feels like each and every time here, Machi just having the same couple of members die, and they're never quite able to get the upper hand.
Now Machi now sitting onto EMP, less than 1 minute remaining. Now that sort of fight around the 2-minute mark took so long for Machi to decide if they're going to reset or not. Actually get given a lot of space here. 1/3 you might expect would even be able to get through. And
that's free.
Okay, well, they are going to come back. Was questioning them for a little second. Are they coming or not?
They did have to wait for a couple of respawns. Modern good dive in, and you hear the Primal Rage to keep himself alive. Does commit it now as they catch D-Crown as well. By the way, with Can dying, the EMP off the table, he is going to be able to re-enter, but he may re-enter to a dead team. Indeed, that's looking to be the case as Blitz and Modern do not let up the pressure. One last push left now for Machi, and the stall out on Judo. Oh, please don't let it happen twice.
And they even have 1 tick as well. I mean, Machi, it's not without any casualty on the DeToNator.KOREA side. They did have to pull back from, but Machi, 5 seconds remaining. You don't want to see a repeat in the pool where they don't touch the point. D-Crown's going to make sure that doesn't repeat.
And it would be because of Judo losing the mech late once again. He's actually still not got back in it, but that's still fine enough for DeToNator.KOREA, and losing D-Crown now. They need to get the EMP in. There it is. Where's the follow-up? Sound barrier to try and make something happen. Self-destruct being just thrown out. They're starting to get a few through as they catch Krong, and some of the supports, they're getting the pressure down. Sleepy Bear needs to commit a sound barrier now, just in the nick of time. Blade out from Blitz. Could it be enough? He's hacked. It's not enough. Can drops him. That should be a 2nd, 3rd for them now. And finally, Machi looked like they've made it in. It was like it wasn't even a foot in the door. It was like a toenail getting jammed and bruised, but they were still able to just brute force their way through that. That is Machi showing that they are still a hot contender here, showing their caliber.
And Machi had, they had the right tools, and for some time as well, they just didn't get the chance to actually execute them. Every time Machi wanted to unfold their plan, DeToNator.KOREA had something to say about it. They were able to shut the door on Machi for many times, but this time around, though, not the case. Machi found their opening and they took advantage.
That's the thing with any high caliber team, is you can never count them out. And you saw that in action now. Machi getting the payload underway. The pressure is on DeToNator.KOREA to find the angle to stop it up. They're committing in now. Dive very quick and decisive onto Restia and Judo. Self-destruct from Judo, not really going to be enough on the reverse side of that. Getting a few trades though here. This could actually continue the momentum for Machi. Indeed, that looks to be the case. Nicely handled.
The thing about positioning and cart position in particular here is that despite that, the cart already had some movement throughout the B cap already. Machi Esports just need to pull back a little bit. Punish the divers from DeToNator.KOREA. Yes, they lost some members, but they got so many more kills against DeToNator.KOREA that now they get more cart push. And DeToNator.KOREA need to find yet another answer.
And Can coming up on the EMP could just be all they need to keep the momentum. Blitz is going to have his own, though. It's really going to come down to which of these Sombras strikes and who does so at the better time. Once again, Coalescence quickly out from Kiyomi. Not to great effect this time. This is a very scattered fight. He's just trying to alleviate the pressure from Modern. Blitz commits the EMP, but no follow-up. Now Can has free reign with his own if he so chooses. May not even need it, as DeToNator have lost just a few too many members. Yeah, Can smart to hold on to this one. DeToNator.KOREA may try and come in for a recontest here, but they will be doing so into an EMP. It may not be wise.
Now, it's such an unfortunate fight for DeToNator.KOREA. Now we are finally maybe seeing a couple of cracks open. This could be a really big fight for Machi as well. If they can find kind of pickoffs here, where DeToNator is still kind of trying to regroup, trying to get their respawners back alive. Thankfully, though, for DeToNator.KOREA, from their perspective anyway, they managed to get everyone else alive. Machi, though, still got free car push, still have EMP, still have other ultimates, and DeToNator.KOREA do not.
And I like that little bit of jostling there. They're just continuing to use the threat of Can's EMP. Stops DeToNator.KOREA from taking an advanced position. And there's the EMP now as DeToNator choose to fully commit. Unfortunately, Rai dying early in that fight, not ideal, but the cart still moves. DeToNator have to just back off while the EMP is active, and because of the EMP still just barely being a factor, Krong does not get a self-destruct. Machi are going to be able to regroup around this payload as it continues moving towards C.
Was overall an effective fight for DeToNator.KOREA there. They did have to sacrifice both Modern and Krong as a sacrificial lamb to just stop that cart, but also draw out finally that EMP that Cantor's been holding up above the heads of DeToNator.KOREA for so long. And now finally DeToNator.KOREA might give to get advantage.
Great angle on the defense matrix, just in the nick of time, saved Modern's life there, and with that sound barrier, it's DeToNator.KOREA once again on the offense, taking the proactive approach in the fight. Judo, ooh, not quite. Oh, poor guy.
That hurts because he can't reset in any effective way. He has to go back into spawn and change hero if he wants to do that, officially eliminating his ultimate if he had any to start with.
He did, he had it available.
Cart now, 45 seconds remaining. Reasonable distance, but Machi Esports, they don't have momentum.
Very quick commit from Blitz. They know that they only need to win one more in decisive fashion to put Machi fully on the ropes. That is indeed what's going to happen. Judo, he's not even going to be, but no, he does get back in this mech. That was nearly really rough.
On the ropes, and the rope will be burning very soon in about 23 seconds as well if Machi Esports can't find their way into this cart, which is being safely and securely held. Look at the Blitz flank behind the back as well, looking for that angle. This is the dive.
Oh, and he gets it too. Kiyomi, he's got to commit this Coalescence, but there's no resting to keep him alive while he does so. Rai, though, does make a good opening with the Pulse Bomb, but they are fighting without supports. And nice moves by Blitz to wait until that Coalescence was being channeled to close out the kill. Because now, even as Kiyomi recommits, he's not going to have that. And yeah, the resource is just not there for Machi as Kant goes down, no EMP to try and keep this one moving. They are getting a few more meters on the card, and that is going to count for something towards the end, but now it's just Judo and D-Crown stalling for the rest of these members, stalling for Kant to come in with the EMP, stalling for Rai to maybe follow up on it. The sound barrier helps to the end of that stall. Krong not quite finding enough with that self-destruct. There's the EMP at long last, but no, instant drop from Kant, unfortunately, and Judo not going to be able to remech. That looks like it's going to be the last hurrah for Machi as the gong sounds a final time. Distance, nothing to be balked at, but certainly not the cap that Machi were after.
Machi had a great run onto B. They had a very, I guess, difficult A attack where a lot of their attacks just weren't very effective at all. They got given that 1/3 finally, sort of in the middle there. DeToNator.KOREA had to back off completely, but after coming back in, it took until, what was it, the overtime for Machi to finally get it across the board. Then on to B. They had a great B run, all things considered. They were barely stopped up in the early stages, but they punished DeToNator.KOREA so well. DeToNator.KOREA for, they wanted to get very aggressive in the early phase of B, which is very typical of a lot of defensive teams, but Machi just read that aggression so well, punished it so well, had such great momentum, but as soon as we got to see, it looked like Machi were just fighting for distance. It no longer looked like they were able to cap.
And that was a really, really interesting first half even of this map on the whole, because we saw, we saw a bit of what we can expect, I think, out of both of these teams. It felt like a really back and forth situation, as you were just kind of mentioning. It would also make, by the way, for like one of the most intense boxing matches ever, if like the ropes were burning, like you suggested. Like that was the moment you said that. That's all I could picture. I was just like a boxing match, but the ring is on fire.
But like. Yeah, but like it's not burning out, like it's not disappearing. It's just on fire the whole time.
Just consistently. It's like he's up against the ropes and the ropes are burning. Like, wow. Whew. What a boxing match this is. Like, I don't even want to watch this. I want to go watch that boxing match.
Right, see you later, everyone. We're gonna start a new idea right now.
Remind me what animal Machi's mascot is. Is it a polar bear? Because it reminds, it just kind of looks like an anthropomorphic ice cube.
I thought it was a sugar. No, I actually know the answer to this. I just can't remember.
Is it actually a sugar cube?
I can't remember right now.
I'm pretty sure it's a polar bear.
I believe it's not an animal. I'm pretty sure it's either an ice cube or a sugar cube or something.
Like, actually?
It's like not an animal.
I was just memeing out, but if it's actually an ice cube.
I don't know that it's an ice cube, but it's not an animal. That's all I can say.
Well, I've got no good metaphors for an ice cube or a sugar cube, unfortunately. So we're just going to have to see how Machi play the defense.
And if Machi don't win here, it could be a salt cube as well. I don't know if they come in cubes, but we'll just, we'll say they do for now.
Yeah, okay. Oh, right, like salt and then assault. That was a surprisingly high caliber pun.
It was.
DeToNator.KOREA just blitz raining the rockets from above is really pressuring Machi into this room. The restaurant, not really ideal. They're actually kind of struggling to look for their way in. Rai cannot stay set up on the high ground. Now getting harassed on the backside by Dahim. And honestly, DeToNator.KOREA have just been able to start ticking up progress on the point purely because Machi can't really get too many people out without getting pressured back into the restaurant.
Just kind of playing for positioning here. There's the early
Coalescence. Wow.
That signals that go time. Look at that.
Blitz! 4K, just like right in the back of the restaurant. That is a rude interruption to your romantic dinner.
Yeah, it's one of the more disgusting rocket barrages so far that we've seen, at least in this opening season, the opening few matches. Ryan now going on to the Widowmaker, trying to counter out Blitz, who has pretty decent opening position so far, but now taking pot shots.
Yeah, Daheem, though, is on his own Widowmaker as well. So, I mean, a good shot onto Rai just immediately re-alleviates that pressure from Blitz. And with that pressure gone from Blitz, Blitz can start applying the pressure of his own, where he's just been keeping these tanks from Machi at bay. Already we see that dive straight onto Rai. He even goes down to Blitz, the person he is meant to be countering right now. The momentum continuing for DeToNator. Oh,
let's just finally go down though. Can't manage to either save or just fail to use his EMP. Now they have to get a bunch of kills without using EMP, so things are starting to turn up for Machi Esports. And for DeToNator.KOREA, you have members kind of caught out in front of the cart, members caught behind the cart, but either way, DeToNator.KOREA are not kind of consolidated as a team. At the same time, though, they are picking up kills, so maybe they don't need to be consolidated as a team, at least not yet.
Yeah, it has worked out, but that was unfortunately time where they were not making progress, and because of that, Machi should actually be able to respawn and come back in for a final contest. Here, by the way, is the angle he got for that rocket barrage. Came over the top, down the stairs. It's like I don't know, like a serial killer living in your attic or something.
Great flank though, you know, Machi just failed to respond to that, but can they now respond to this opening fight? Blitz still staying on Thara, despite Rai sniping, by the way.
Yeah, that was a great timing on the EMP as well, just meant that there was nothing Blitz was going to be able to do to get out of it, and that is the follow-up you need from an EMP, by the way. Rai just continuing his own pressure now as the Widowmaker, and for the first time all game should be able to get properly set up before Blitz can get back into position.
And Blitz is going to change down to the Sombra as well, and I'm surprised he didn't change it just a little bit earlier. Rai, though, kind of just makes the point a little bit clearer. Don't play the fire against me right now. Rai is definitely hitting shots.
Yeah.
Got the infra sight up just about now. He's going to be effectively able to outduel Daheem. This is dangerous time for Daheem. Dangerous time for DeToNator.KOREA to even be rotating. And for Machi Esports, their time to strike should be right now.
And it's time that gets lost as well for DeToNator.KOREA. Despite good progress on the payload, this is very different to what we saw Machi doing on their point B. DeToNator are very much stopped up, trying to find a way back in. A headshot and Rai's way to start. They do trade it back. They don't have any res available for themselves this time around, Machi, as they just lose too many members too quickly. Great angle by Sleepy Bear. I mean, if you're sleepy, then ideally you then want to be sleeping. But he got a coalescence. That's what really happened.
When Machi playing Ana, he could be a sleeping bear. We might be able to get there if, you know, a little bit later on into this match. DeToNator.KOREA, the opening headshot from Daheem onto Rai was so
self-destruct here. It's a little bit too late, though. I mean, the cap has already gone over, and Judo just ended up dying because of it. They left a lot of members very exposed there. Did at least get the Valkyrie out of Apache, but they gave away a lot of kills, and because of that, they give away any opportunity to muster any kind of defense earlier on in point C. They're just going to be fighting around that golden square.
Unfortunate timing and I guess unfortunate positioning for Machi Esports there. Maybe a couple respawners, and that's kind of the thing that happens as the cap goes over on B. A couple respawners still just coming out of the B respawn instead of the C respawn. They do end up getting caught out. Rai, though, did respond with a headshot to Daheem. Machi looking for that opening.
And there's going to be a nice EMP out of Blitz, but the follow-up not quite there as Kant picks him, and Machi just kind of weathering the storm for now. A lot of resources being committed to killing Rai, but he's not your priority target in this situation, and that's really showing now as Kant, along with D-Crown, are continuing to mount pressure back onto DeToNator.KOREA. You see Modern having to kind of back up to the rest of the team, and in so doing is going to unfortunately lose his life. That was surprisingly sloppy out of DeToNator.
Great place to now stabilize for Machi Esports, though, and in terms of both positioning and also ultimates, note that the end point of this cap is not that far away, and they want to keep it that way.
They need the follow-up, and they're not quite getting it. It's just what DeToNator.KOREA had happened to them a moment ago, though this time around the sound barrier, is what I'm trying to say, is going to kind of rescue them. It looks like that self-destruct kill will be the stabilization as well. Expensive, though, for Machi, but I guess equally so for DeToNator. Interesting to see things like the Valkyrie and Coalescence being committed. Looks like they want to stick in this fight, actually.
It's not quite over just yet, but with Blitz going down, it might signal that DeToNator.KOREA potentially want to get out and get Blitz back up, so that's now 6v4.
With an EMP. That could be plenty enough. They need to find an angle to commit it. Kiyomi with the Coalescence, not quite getting enough done. The EMP did go down. They're trying to just drill down Kant and Co. The Coalescence comes to an end, and that is indeed more pressure than Machi can handle thanks to that EMP. So the payload just now rolling on through to the end. I don't think there's any members of Machi left. It's just Judo trying to stall out. And as soon as he's done, I think that's going to be it. Indeed it is, and that is now a 2-0 up for DeToNator.KOREA. Maybe Machi are a slow starter, maybe DeToNator.KOREA are, but 2-0 up in the series brings it to match point.
And how fitting is it to have Judo right at the end there being the last player dying when everyone else is gone?
I'm just amazed that this isn't the 4K barrage. Like, what did Kron do here?
To be fair, this is the push that won
Fair.
created the game. And you'll take this push as the winning push rather than the 4K from the barrage, but the barrage was pretty impressive.
The barrage was pretty sick. We've had a real treat today of like absolutely sick plays, like the 4K barrage now, the 5K Riptire from Xiaolin in our first match of the day. Like, who do we have third? Like they've got something to live up to now.
Somebody needs to get 6 kills.
Yeah. If that doesn't happen, I'm going to be disappointed.
What we haven't seen is crazy good Genji highlight reels just yet.
You're quite right.
We did sort of get that on day 1, but now on day 2, you're not quite there. But at the same time, you know, teams have been kind of hesitant to go full dive just yet. A lot of Sombra Tracer gameplay actually as a primary combo, and that's not quite surprising. Again, on the patch that we are on, this is what teams are prepared for.
And what little Genji we've been seeing has often gone to the tune of like 1 kill and then you die, and you just kind of go even.
You get hacked.
Yeah, because you get hacked, you know, and when you're just going even but also committing the ultimate, it's not really worthwhile. And I think that is part of why we're now seeing just less and less Genji, at least over the course of today. I do want to see someone kind of have that really breakout, standout performance on the Genji here, though. Mainly because I do want to see that Genji 6K, but...
Also, Trace, I mean, to be fair, Rise had some pretty good runs so far. He's been a player coming in from the bench from last season, last year of OPC, where... You know, Rai, did he even get 1 match maybe? I can't remember.
Not in season 1, but...
He got 1 match. He got a couple matches in season 1 and maybe 1 match in season 2. Didn't quite see that much out of him. He's looking much better now. We'll see exactly what Machi and Rai are going to do going on into map 3, but that's all going to continue right on after this break. Or not.
Or not.
It looked like it was going to be a break.
Yeah, that really... we just got fully faked out there. Like, you got us. We got punked. But yes, it is. You're actually quite right in that, look, 0-2 down, this is not the start that Machi were wanting, given that they feel they didn't have the best performance most recently in Season 2 of OPC. So they can still turn it around here, and they very much need to. On the other side of that, DeToNator.KOREA already kind of living up to some of the hype, but only some. It's not been a clean road for them. So I feel like already in this series, we've had a bit of a microcosm of the stories we could expect out of both of these teams, and the series isn't even over yet.
All right, well, this time for real, fellas, we're going to head to a break, and when we come back, it's going to be the conclusion of Machi versus DeToNator.KOREA. We'll see you soon.